Ghost Tales.
Hey girlies and ghoulies, and welcome to the Girly Ghost Tales podcast.
We're your hosts for this evening. I'm Amber.
And I'm Leah.
And this is a supernatural podcast about ghost stories, ghost hunting, conspiracies, witchcraft, haunted objects, places, even people, and everything in between with a little bit of girl talk mixed in.
What more could you ask for? Tonight we have some bone-chilling, spine-tingling tales and tropes for you to immerse yourself in. This week's episode is all about Appalachian folklore.
So sit back, grab some popcorn, get comfy, and
To the grave we go.
So this week I did the Bell Witch. This is gonna be a
I'm
long
excited.
one. All right. So, the legend of the Bell Witch centers on the John Bell family and the spiritual haunting they endured between 1817 and 1821. John Bell moved his family from North Carolina to the Red River bottomland in Robertson County, Tennessee, settling in the Red River community, which later became the present-day Adams, Tennessee. Bell purchased some land and a large house for his family. Over the next several years, he acquired more land, increasing his holdings to 328 acres.
Jeez.
I know. And cleared a number of fields for planting. He also became an elder of the Red River Baptist Church. John and his wife, Lucy Bell, had 3 more children after moving to Tennessee. The Bells had a very happy and successful early life at the Red River settlement. In 1817, John Bell was inspecting his cornfield when he came across a strange-looking animal sitting in the middle of a corn row. Shocked by the appearance of this animal, which had the body of a dog and the head of a rabbit, he shot at it several times.
Oh my god, yuck.
Could you imagine?
No.
I feel like I'd be too scared to even shoot at it.
I would just run, yeah.
The animal disappeared. It was the first documented manifestation of the entity. Bell thought nothing more of the incident, at least not until after dinner. That evening, the family began hearing beating sounds on the outside walls of their log home. The beating sounds continued each night. Bell and his sons often rushed outside to catch the culprit, but always returned empty-handed. In the weeks that followed, the Bell children began waking up frightened, complaining that rats were chewing on their bedposts.
Ugh.
Gross.
First of all, just rats in general are disgusting.
Not long after that, the children began complaining of having their bed covers pulled from them and their pillows tossed onto the floor by a seemingly invisible entity. No, thank you. As time went on, the Bell family began hearing faint, whispering voices, which sounded like an old woman singing hymns.
Ugh. That would freak me out, too.
I know. The encounters escalated, and the Bell's youngest daughter, Betsy Bell, began experiencing physical encounters with the invisible entity. It would pull her hair and slap her, often leaving welts and handprints on her face and body.
Oh my god.
That's crazy. The disturbances finally escalated to a point that he shared his family trouble with his closest friend and neighbor, James Johnston. Skeptical at first, Johnston and his wife spent the night at the Bell home. Things began peacefully, but once they went to bed for the evening, they were subjected to the same terrifying disturbances that the Bells had been experiencing. After their bed covers were yanked off and James was slapped, he sprang out of bed exclaiming, "In the name of the Lord, who are you and what do you want?" The entity did not respond. The rest of the night was peaceful. The next morning, Johnston explained to the Bells that the culprit was likely an evil spirit, the kind that the Bible talks about.
Ugh.
Demon.
Mm-hmm.
The entity's voice strengthened over time and became loud and unmistakable. It sang hymns, quoted scripture, carried on intelligent conversation, and once even quoted word for word 2 sermons that were preached at the same time on the same day, 13 miles apart. Word of the supernatural phenomenon soon spread outside the settlement, even to Nashville, where then Major General Andrew Jackson became interested in the so-called Bell Witch. That's crazy.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. John Bell Jr., along with his brothers Drury Bell and Jesse Bell, had fought under General Jackson in the Battle of New Orleans. A few years later, in 1819, Jackson heard about the disturbances at the Bell home and decided to pay a visit and investigate. As Jackson's crew, consisting of several men, horses, and a large wagon, approached the Bell property, the wagon jolted to a sudden stop. It had become stuck in a muddy creek bed, and the horses were unable to pull it. At least that's what the men thought. After several minutes of cursing and trying to coax the horses into pulling the wagon, Jackson proclaimed, "By the eternal boys, that must be the Bell Witch." Then suddenly a disembodied female voice told Jackson that they could proceed and that she would see them again later that evening. They were then able to proceed across the property, up the lane, and to the Bell home. Which, she can just leave the house and talk to these people.
Yeah.
That's so wild.
That's crazy.
That evening, Jackson told war stories while his crew set up their tents in John and Lucy Bell's yard. One of the men claimed to be a witch tamer.
How do you even realize you're a witch tamer?
Yeah. That's me, I'm just a witch tamer. After several uneventful hours, he pulled out a pistol and said that its silver bullet would kill an evil spirit that it came into contact with. He went on to say the reason nothing had happened to them was because whatever had been haunting the Bells was scared of his silver bullet.
Okay, I don't know about that.
Immediately, the man screamed and began jerking his body in different directions, complaining that he was being stuck with pins and beaten severely. A strong kick sent him out the front door. Angry, the entity spoke up and announced that there was yet another fraud in Jackson's party, and that she would identify him the following evening. Now scared, Jackson's men begged to leave the Bell farm. Jackson insisted on staying. He wanted to know who the other fraud was. The men went outside to sleep in their tents while continuously begging Jackson to leave. What happened next is not clear, but Jackson and his crew were spotted in nearby Springfield early the next morning, going back to Nashville. Some allege that Jackson later proclaimed, "I would rather fight the British at New Orleans than fight the Bell Witch."
Oh my god.
So apparently they just left. He was like, "No, thank you." The entity continued to show hate for John Bell, vowing to kill him. Bell had been experiencing episodes of twitching in his face and difficulty swallowing for almost a year. In the fall of 1812, his declining health had confined him to the home, where the entity continuously removed his shoes when he tried to walk and slapped his face when he recovered from his numerous seizures. Her shrill voice was heard all over the farm, cursing old Jack Bell, the name she had given him. John Bell died the morning of December 20th, 1820, after falling into a coma a day earlier. Immediately after his death, his family found a vial of strange black liquid in the cupboard. John Jr. sprinkled 2 drops on the cat's tongue. The cat jumped into the air, rolled over in midair, and was dead when it hit the floor.
Why would they put it on the cat's tongue?
Yeah, no idea. That's so random.
You find a random black liquid and you put it on your cat's tongue?
Yeah. Odd.
Poor cat.
I know. The entity then exclaimed, "I gave old Jack a big dose of that last night, which fixed him." John Jr. tossed the mysterious vial into the fireplace. It burst into a bright blue flame and shot up the chimney. As the crowd of mourners began leaving the graveyard from John's funeral, the Bell Witch entity laughed and sang a song about a bottle of brandy. Her singing didn't stop until the last mourner had left. The entity's presence was almost non-existent after John Bell's demise, as though it had fulfilled its purpose. In April 1821, the entity visited John Bell's widow, Lucy Bell, and told her that it was leaving but would return in 7 years. The entity returned in 1828 as promised. Most of the return visit centered on John Bell Jr., who the entity discussed the origin of life, civilization, Christianity, and the need for a major spiritual reawakening. The entity bade farewell after 3 weeks, promising to visit John Bell's most direct descendant in 107 years. So random.
Why?
107, like, that's all right. The year would be 1935, and the closest living direct descendant of the time was Nashville physician Dr. Charles Bailey Bell, a neurologist and John Bell Sr.'s great grandson. Did the Bell Witch return in 1835 as promised? Some say she did not return, or that if she did, they were not aware of it, but many say she never left the place to begin with. I have a sketch of their house.
Oh,
It's not really much, but
looks like a cabin in the woods
yeah.
house.
And then this is like supposed to be a drawing of him dead and then them testing that liquid on the cat.
Oh my god.
I swear that there's a part in this story where they try to catch this witch and they get her in a blanket and they throw her into the fireplace or something.
What?
But I could not find it on any of the websites that I looked at.
Really?
So I don't know if I'm thinking of a different story, but I swear it was this one.
If anybody knows, let us know.
Yeah. So I don't know if maybe I just missed it, and I don't know. Because I was just looking again right before we recorded, just in case. And I couldn't find it.
What the heck?
So I
I
don't know.
feel like it sounds like it could be this story, like about them throwing the vial in the fireplace too. Like,
yeah, I feel like I remember hearing the story, and it was like John and then his son John Jr. Like trapping her, and they like get a blanket around her, and then they throw her in the fireplace. But
yeah, I want to know. If it's not her, I want to know what story
yeah,
it is too, because that sounds good.
Yeah. So yeah, and a lot happened, but not a lot also in a few years.
Yeah.
4 years.
It's so random too. Like, I'll be back in 7 years. All right,
Yeah.
I'll be back in 107 years.
That's
like,
so
why?
weird.
Why does she even want to keep coming back anyway?
Yeah.
And like, imagine his family member that's just minding their own business.
Yeah.
Like, and then this entity comes and like is bothering them for like no reason.
Yeah, just like physically abusing them
for a few weeks, and then she's like, all right, I'll be back.
Yeah, see you later. Like, have a good rest of your life.
Would have like moved out of that house
For
immediately.
Sure. Yeah,
like right away.
And he was like a big member in a church, so you would think like, but I think they were ashamed because when he said like he finally trusted a friend with their family troubles.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because he probably didn't want people at the church to know that any of that was happening. But he probably should have told them. They could have all like went there like on The Conjuring or something and like tried to get it out of there before it killed him.
Although it was a Baptist church and not like a Catholic church, so I don't know what their
might have been different.
Yeah, I don't know what their views are.
Tonight we're slipping into your bedroom through the cracks in the wall, the slit under the door, where something skinless, breathless, and ancient waits in the dark. This is the legend of the Boo Hag.
Skinless?
Yeah, skinless.
That's terrifying.
So, a skinless witch that rides you in your sleep. Originating from Gula and Southern Appalachian traditions, the Boo Hag is a witch who slips out of her skin at night and enters homes through cracks or keyholes. She rides her victims by sitting on their chest and draining their energy, leaving them tired, confused, and breathless in the morning. If she rides you too many times, you'll die. So who is the Boo Hag? The Boo Hag is a supernatural, witch-like being similar to a vampire, but more spiritual and sinister. Instead of drinking blood, she drains your breath or life force while riding your chest in the night. So she's often linked to like sleep paralysis experiences. Um,
I was gonna say that's what it reminded me of.
yeah, like not being able to move and like her
Yeah,
like draining your energy. Yeah, that's very sleep paralysis like.
yeah.
And then she's also linked to like shape shifting witches or spirits in disguise. So don't let the hag ride ya, is what the Gula elders warn people. If she ride ye once, she'll come back. If she ride ye thrice, ye soul be gone. So, how can you keep her out of your house? Some people say that keeping a Bible under your pillow or keeping a broom by your door will keep her out because apparently, if you keep a broom by your door, they say she has to count all of the like bristles on the broom and
Oh.
that it stops her from entering.
Hmm.
In the low country swamps and deep hollers of the Appalachian South, people don't just fear the dead, they fear the undead. The Boo Hag is no ordinary ghost or monster. She's a witch without skin, raw red muscle and veins, reeking of death with eyes like burning coals. By day she hides, wearing stolen skin like a dress, but by night she comes riding. So when the boo hag slips into your home, she doesn't need doors. She comes through keyholes, chimneys, even the smallest gaps in a window frame. And once inside, she creeps through the shadows until she finds you, sleeping, vulnerable, and unaware. The boo hag straddles your chest, presses her bony weight into you, and begins to ride, not like a succubus, not like a ghost. She breathes you in, draining your energy and your spirit. People say they wake up in a panic, their lungs locked up, unable to scream, paralyzed, aware, but helpless. When she's done, she slips away, leaving you exhausted and confused. A victim might wake up the day after more tired than the one before, until one night she rides too long and you don't wake up at all.
Terrifying.
One of the most horrifying aspects of the boo hag is that she has no skin of her own. She's raw, red, and skinless,
Ugh.
something between a human and a monster. To pass in public or hide in the daytime, she steals the skin of her victims. In some versions, the boo hag removes a person's skin, folds it neatly, and hides it while she goes about her day. If the skin dries out or gets damaged, she suffers. That's why some say throwing salt on a boo hag's discarded skin will prevent her from putting it back on, killing her in the process. Signs a boo hag has ridden you. You wake up gasping for air or feeling utterly exhausted even if you've slept all night. Your dreams are filled with a heavy red presence, often faceless or whispering. You have scratches, bruises, or pressure marks on your chest or arms. You see a red skinned figure in the corners of your room during sleep paralysis.
Ugh.
Some people report hearing footsteps on the ceiling or feeling like a cold draft is crawling across the bed, even when the windows are closed. So, in Gula tradition and Appalachian folk belief, the Buheg is part witch, part demon. She rides people for power, but she hates order and ritual. So, if you want to keep her out, hang a broom by your door. She'll have to stop and count every single straw. Put a Bible under your pillow. Paint your window frames blue, what the Gula people call haint blue.
Hmm.
Most importantly, don't let her take your skin, because if she does, she'll walk among the living disguised in your flesh while you rot in the shadows. Some folks still say they've met her. A listener once wrote in to say that their grandmother told them never to sleep facing the wall because that's when she comes and she doesn't like being seen. The haint blue paint on window and door frames, she won't cross over it, apparently,
Hmm.
is what the lore says. But it seems very specific, like it has to be like the haint color
Yeah.
blue. a colander or sifter under your bed. She'll be stuck counting the holes of the
Oh,
colander or the sifter.
she seems like she needs to count a lot of
I
things.
know. And then salt scattered at doorways or near windows. She hates purification and order. So never invite a stranger in after dark, especially an old woman with glowing red eyes or someone wearing clothes that seem just a little too tight, like their skin doesn't fit right. So there's a few true encounters, but no like true stories that I could find from people talking about her. But I'm sure, like, with how many people have like sleep paralysis, I'm sure there's so many people that have like experienced that, but they don't know about it. Some
Yeah.
people just probably don't know what happened.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be literally terrified to live anywhere near like the Appalachian
Yeah.
Mountains.
Not this January, but the January before, me and my mom, my grandma, and Matt took a road trip to Virginia. So my brother was graduating AIT, which is military stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we had to go through the mountains over there, but it was nighttime, so I was like, we better not break down out here because
No.
I
Oh my
am
God. Can you
terrified. I'd
imagine?
be so scared.
I literally would like call the cops
Yeah.
like
I'd be like,
immediately. I would be
just
so
close your
scared
eyes.
because I feel like if that did happen, it would be something trying to make you break
Yeah.
down to get like stuck out
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
So yeah, that was a big fear of mine. But I was also excited to like
Yeah.
go through it.
I
But
know. That's like how I feel. Like I would be so scared, but I still kind of want to like
yeah.
go there. Just it's so like interesting and like scary.
Yeah. They just have a lot of
Different legends.
yeah.
Always like look up videos on TikTok like
Yeah.
Appalachia scary stories. It's like my favorite topic, and like everyone that lives there is like, yeah, when I was growing up, like my grandma told me close the blinds, lock the doors. If you hear a whisper or someone saying your name, like no you didn't, ignore
Yeah.
it. Don't whistle outside.
Yeah.
Like that's
Oh,
so scary. Yeah.
so many things. There's so many rules you gotta follow there.
Yeah. We could literally like do so many episodes on it.
Yeah.
Like there's so many stories that
So
of
many.
stuff people experienced, and I feel like it's scarier because it's like
Yeah.
true stuff that happens to so many people, and it's like known that it happens around the
Yeah.
Appalachian Trail. Like I wonder why how did it get so haunted to begin
Yeah.
with? Like
I don't know if it's because it's like closer to the East Coast with the most history or
yeah. Some true encounters and regional tales. The Charleston rooming house in South Carolina. A man claimed in the 1930s that every night he awoke with pressure on his chest. He chalked it up to stress until one morning he found a red handprint burned into his chest. The landlady, a Gula woman, smudged his room with burning herbs and found salt missing by the window. She said, she's been riding you. You lucky she ain't done wid you yet. So I'm guessing you're lucky that she hasn't killed you yet.
yeah.
The granny in the woods in Georgia. A woman in rural Georgia claimed to live alone, but children said she smelled like meat and never left her house during the day. When a fire broke out, no body was found, but there were bloody skin scraps nailed to the walls. Locals now say the boo hag still roams the area searching for her next skin.
Oh,
That's
that is
disgusting.
so disgusting.
Even like children saying she smelled like meat.
Yeah.
Ugh, like what do you mean? The man who slept on his back in North Carolina. A man ignored his grandmother's warning, don't sleep on your back or she'll come for you. He began waking up paralyzed, unable to breathe, with a red mist above his bed. One night he placed flour on the floor and saw clawed red footprints leading to the chimney. He moved out the next morning.
Oh my god.
Like clawed red
Yeah,
footprints.
that's so scary.
So like not human like footprints, I'm guessing.
Yeah, something with what looks like claws.
I wonder why flour and not like salt.
Yeah.
I've never heard of using flour for any protection, but
I think maybe he thought, well,
Like maybe it's like neutralizes
I
something,
was
but
thinking maybe he was using it to like see if he could catch like
oh
footprints or
yeah,
something, but that's
maybe.
still like a weird thought to like think that
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, I'm gonna put flour on the floor to see if somebody walks over it.
And like red footprints, so like were they bloody?
Yeah.
Or like, yeah, I have
Did the
so many
flour turn
questions.
red? Like
Yeah,
that's yeah.
I'm picturing like a bird, like
Yeah.
footprint.
I'm picturing like I don't know what I'm actually picturing. Never
I
mind.
know. I don't either. I just have so many
Like
questions.
I just imagine like a foot with
Like long
long nails.
talon, like
Yeah.
claw nails. I don't know what to think about those, but I wish that we could like talk to people that have experienced it and just ask them a bunch of questions.
I've I have heard that yeah, people see like a hag like entity when they get sleep paralysis. So I don't know if it's like the same or if there's
Yeah,
another one.
I know. We should do an episode on sleep
Yeah,
paralysis.
it just reminds me of when I was younger. Um, I remember waking up in the middle of the night, and I don't remember if I was like paralyzed or if I just was so scared. I think I was
Mm-hmm.
just so scared because I was like in third grade or something. Um, but in my room, I heard the like sound of like a Jack in the Box. The dun,
Oh
dun,
my
dun, dun,
god,
dun. Yeah,
stop.
and then I like heard like a child laugh, and
What?
yeah, and then I finally like I was trying to scream for my mom and I couldn't, like I didn't have a voice, and then eventually I was
Oh
able to like
my
run to my
god.
mom's room and I woke up the next day in her room, so I don't think it was a dream,
Oh my
but that
god.
memory is just like
That
vividly.
scares.
It's so scary, and it was at these old apartments that we lived at.
I was gonna ask you if it was at like your mom's
Oh
house.
no,
Oh my
well, my
god.
mom. I was living with my mom then,
Mm-hmm.
but my stepsister, she had lived in those apartments too, not the same one that we lived in, but the same like complex.
Mm-hmm.
And she had said that she had seen like a man like figure, shadow figure, standing in her doorway one night when she woke up in the middle of the
Oh
night.
my
And I
god.
was like, those places are definitely haunted.
Yeah, I
Cause
feel like that definitely like was sleep paralysis or
yeah,
something.
something.
And like, was there like a Jack in the Box thing there actually, or did you just hear the noise of
No,
it?
I just heard the noise.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
I would not be able to like ever sleep in there again.
no, and I do remember too. I had this one like nightlight like thing, um, that would change different colors, and it had turned red, which it couldn't turn red. And I
Oh
remember it would like
my
cycle through the
god.
colors, and then it was cycling through, and then it turned red, and it just like stayed red. And
Oh
yeah,
my god, that place is definitely haunted.
for sure.
Like
Ugh.
somebody's haunting that complex.
And it wasn't anything good.
No. Yeah,
Because
especially like the child like laughter.
yeah,
That would I would literally not be able to sleep in there ever again, I don't think.
yeah, I remember there were a few times where I ended up sleeping like on the floor of my mom's room.
Mhm.
I
I
don't.
did that like as a kid too, because I always heard stuff like in
Yeah,
my room too. That was I forgot to like mention it in the last episode about like the haunted dolls, but I had so when you were saying that that one girl's mom got her that like walking doll and
yeah,
like put it at the end of her bed, my mom got I can't remember what they're called. I think it is just called a look-alike doll where you
oh,
like you email like the company or mail them like a picture of your kid and they literally make the doll look exactly like you. So she got me one of those for my I was like obsessed with dolls as a kid, but it was like huge. Like it was like this bit. It was like
yeah.
as like the same size as me and it looked just like me.
Oh
And
my
I used
god.
to always be scared of it. And whenever like my friends would come over, they would be like, "That doll just moved," or like, "I
Oh,
saw that doll do something. I don't know where it is now. I think she probably got rid of it now, but I wish she still had it so I could like bring it here
it
because
keeps like
there was something I would like run past it like to go down the stairs like
yeah.
she was always in this like corner and I would like do this and like run past her and run down the steps and my mom's room was like right below mine and I would always be like sleeping on her floor and I'd always be like that doll scares me, that doll is creepy.
Yeah, oh my god. This isn't Appalachia related. But did Odin ever do any say any creepy things?
Yeah. Um, I'm trying to remember like exactly what he said. Um, so when we moved into our house like 3 years ago now, I'm trying to remember exactly what he said. I wish I like wrote it down right when he said it so that
Yeah.
I didn't forget any of it. But he was talking about God a lot. Like he was asking me questions like how did like everything get made and like who is God and like where is he? And he was always asking stuff like that. And then we were driving one day and randomly he was like, isn't it weird how there's like houses and roads and cars and like people? Because there just used to be nothing. Like, I remember when there was nothing and it was just like there was no cars and it was just like me and like some other people like before I came here. And I was like, I like froze and I just thought he was just like talking like nonsense, but he
Yeah.
like said that a few times. Like he used to say like I remember when it didn't even used to look like this before and like these buildings weren't here and those houses weren't here and it was just nothing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
That's like one thing he said. And then another thing is so I used to live in an apartment above like a bar and this was like before, so that's where I lived like when I was pregnant and then after I had him like we moved to Grand Rapids, but when we were still living there he was like less than a year old
Mm.
and whenever I'd be in the kitchen like feeding him he would always be like looking up like behind me like this and he would like start laughing and like clapping and
Oh
like
my
his
god.
eyes would be like following something around the
Oh.
room and it was always in the kitchen and then I used to have like the same dream all the time in that apartment too, and it was always like something came through my front door, like a shadow, like just
Yeah.
like opened the door and like came in, and I was like laying in my bed, and I would always be like, I don't even know how to explain it. So I'd be like in my bed, and I would know that it was coming in there, but I would be like looking like this, like trying to make it like not know that I was in my room. And I
Yeah.
would like try sneaking to go to Odin's room to like grab him. And every time, like, all of the cupboards in my kitchen would fly open, like in the dream. And I'd be
Oh.
like frozen in the dream. Like, I couldn't like lift my arms or my legs or like get out of the bed or anything.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I would be like on my couch in my living room and the same thing would happen. Like I would hear my front door and I would know that it was like that black shadow thing and then I would see all the cupboards start like opening and closing in the kitchen.
Oh my
And I
god.
had that dream like multiple times in that apartment and I've never had a dream like that again since we moved out of there.
That's so crazy.
And he said like a few other things before too that I don't remember now because it was like years ago, but
Mm.
I should have written down all of the weird things that he said like
Yeah.
that.
I was feeding her the other day, well, yesterday, and she was just like looking around, and then she like look over and look over here, and I'm like, "What are you looking at? Are you just looking around, or is
Mhm.
there something there?"
Yeah, I know, and everybody says that like babies and kids and like animals are the most like susceptible to seeing spirits and stuff because they don't know that they're not real.
Yeah.
So they can see things that like we can't see anymore. I believe
Yeah.
that for sure.
I'm just
Cause
hoping it doesn't happen at my home.
yeah,
Maybe at my mom's. We'll go to my mom's, and she'll be like,
yeah,
say something creepy, and I'll be like, well,
yeah.
that's leaving that for you, Sarah.
So there's obviously not like any real pictures of the boo hag because it's a sleep paralysis like demon witch, but here are two pictures that I found online of what people depict her as.
Oh
That's
my
the
god,
first
that's
one.
terrifying.
Yeah, like the red like meat like looking
Yeah.
skin. And then this is the second one. So that's like what she looks like riding someone and like sucking
Oh.
the life out of them.
Yeah. I think if I saw that, I'd probably just die right there.
I know. That's how I feel about so many things. Like I literally think I would like have a heart attack
Yeah.
if like something like that happened to
Yeah,
me.
absolutely.
If anybody has any experiences with the Bell Witch or the Boo Hag or any,
Anything?
yeah, email them to us.
Yes.
I was looking stuff up on it last night and I was like getting tired too. And then I was like, oh, I need to like stop looking at it now and read something else to distract
Yeah,
myself so I
clear
don't
your
fall
mind.
asleep thinking about it.
Yeah, that's how I feel like if I watch like a scary movie. I'm like, I need
Mm-hmm.
a palate
Yeah,
cleanser in between that and going to bed.
I cannot fall asleep watching anything scary.
Mm-mm. I know. If I'm like scrolling through TikTok and I see something scary and like
Yeah,
Matt's asleep, I'm like, oh,
I
I'll like
know.
it and then I'll be like,
That's
I'll
I
go back
know. I do
later.
the same thing. I always save it to make sure I can watch it like when Jake is awake
Yeah.
because he falls asleep like before me every night. And I swear, whenever I go on like TikTok at night is when I see like the creepiest, like
Yeah.
craziest stories that are like seriously like terrifying.
Yeah.
It's always like at night that I see them.
I
Like
know.
if
During
I'm
the day, I'm like trying to scroll, like find some creepy
yeah,
stuff,
I
and
know. Same.
it's like
Like that
dances, and
happens
I'm like,
every
okay, come on.
time. Why does that happen?
It's like
It's
my
like it's trying to scare
nose.
us
Yeah.
and it wants us to like manifest something
Ugh.
happening.
I don't want anything too scary. I
No.
don't want anything scary at all.
Harold is enough of
Yeah.
a manifestation for
Today has
me.
been enough for a while.
Yeah. Thanks, girlies and ghoulies, for joining us. Those were some terrifying tales.
But hopefully not too scary because we want you to join us again next week when we'll be swapping stories about Friday the 13th.
Trust me, you don't want to miss it. We are on Patreon for $5 a month. You'll have access to all episodes 1 week early, behind the scenes footage, our live full moon ghost hunts during every full moon of the month, our haunted doll segment, Tarot Tuesdays, where we do readings and share ghost stories, and automatic entry into a monthly Girly Ghost Tales giveaway.
Make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, and email us your ghost stories and anything paranormal at girlyghosttales@gmail.com. New episodes release every Friday at 6 p.m. Central Time.
So until next time, and remember, if you hear a whisper in the dark, it's probably just us.
But just in case, keep your lights on and your doors locked. Remember, the veil is always thinner than you think.
Good
Good
night.
night.